Good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of the Nick Williams Show. My name's Nick Williams. I'm an independent filmmaker and producer north of Boston. Joining me in studio is my on the mend. I was going to say sick, but he's not as sick as he once was. My producer, Mr. Special Ed. Ed, thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you coming in even though you're sick. It's very nice to have you. Sorry if we're running late today, but as I get older, it's very important for me to have a good old cup of joe. Otherwise, I'd be sleeping. And we all know that this show is the most entertaining thing in the world, and I owe it solely to the discovery of caffeine. So, welcome. Edmund, do you know what we're talking about this evening?
No, what are we talking about?
I wanted to talk a little bit about, I thought it was important. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm never wrong. But I thought it would be kind of important. What do you think, Producer Ed, what would you say a film producer does? What is their job? What is their role?
They make a film.
By themselves?
No, they gather a team.
Right. So let's talk, because most of the audience is people that work behind the scenes. So, and I really, tonight, the topic of the episode is not only misconceptions about what producers do, but I want to talk about exactly what it is that I do and what you should expect when hiring a producer for an indie film or a larger film. I do have some notes here, so you're going to have to bear with me. But let's go. Let me find my notes. Running late. Making coffee kind of throws the whole thing off, you know? There we go. So I wanted to start with some misconceptions about what film producers actually do. But Ed, when you think film producer, because you're, I would say we've talked about this before on the regular, you're a gaffer, correct?
Yeah, most of the time.
Most of the time. But you have ideas for films, and you've made short films or 48 hours or whatever you call them. And, you know, if you were to hire a producer, what would you be expecting? Like, what do you think of when you think of hiring a producer? Do you think it would be important to hire a producer on a smaller production?
Sure,
and
yeah.
I want your honest answer. There's no wrong answer, because the whole point of the episode is dispelling misconceptions. So since it's not something that you would normally do, hiring a producer, if you were to hire one, what do you think that would entail? Give me more. By the way, calendar is up. You're welcome. Continue. Go ahead.
I'd probably say somebody with a lot of experience.
Okay. Tonight, there might be a nuclear bomb in this studio. Okay?
I hope not.
I hope not, too. But I really need everybody involved in the production of the Nick Williams Show to just get on board and pay attention. I'm not asking if you'd like an experienced versus an inexperienced producer, but this is kind of my point. And I'm not even giving shit to my lovely assistant here. Producer assistant. That's a horrible word to call you because of the theme of tonight's episode.
Sure.
A podcast producer does not do what a film producer does. I'm asking, regardless of experience level, regardless of talent or track record, when you hire someone for the position of producer, what do you expect them to do? If the answer is I don't know, that's a viable answer, because that's the whole point of tonight's podcast. But I wanted to know your take on if you as a filmmaker were to, like, oh, you know, I probably need it's a bigger production or whatever. Like, I need a producer. What do you expect out of them?
I've never really hired a producer before.
So you have no clue what a
have very
producer
little.
does. Right. Here are some of the misconceptions, and I can use some from personal experience when people call me and they're like, I need help with wardrobe. I'm like, not my job, okay? One of the biggest misconceptions, I would say, is that producers are just money people. They come in, they handle money, they either, whether it's securing money or dispersing money, it's really not the job of a producer. Producers have to do logistics. It's not just securing funding or delegating how that funding is going to be spent, but they also have to worry about budgets and schedules and union issues or legal problems, managing logistics, me see my notes here. I said, yeah, handling marketing and distribution, ensuring the film actually gets finished, and that, people don't want to have crazy twists and turns along the way. Another one that is pretty big is, for me, it's like a touchy subject. Producers aren't creative, they're just logistics. The misconception would be that the producers are the project manager only, while directors and writers make creative decisions. In my opinion, good producers are deeply creative. They're given script. They help give notes on scripts. They have to help shape the tone of the film. They have to be able to give notes. They have to be able to say, what is the director's vision for the film? And does the script / what the director wants to do, does that come together? They have to be able to analyze that situation and see if that vision is going to be executed properly. In order to convey the message that the director says that they want to convey. So I think one of the biggest things about, and on the creative side, and some of us have a over-the-top personality about how to go about doing these things. I would say that I'm rather calm and cool and collected, level-headed, and not overly emotional when it comes to these decisions. That being said, some producers can be overly emotional or loud and brash, screaming, yelling. I've never screamed once in my life. But yeah, so they're helping the directors with strategic choices, influencing the final cut, sometimes even intervening on music, sound decisions. They're not there necessarily to kill creative ideas. They're there to protect the best version of the film. So if, as an example, if you were to hire me and you sit me down and say, here's the type of film that I want to create, here's the script, here's the tone, here's everything I'm going for, here's a reference to another film that is similar to this one that I want to make, et cetera, then we get on set and you want to do something completely different, or there's an issue where someone wants to do something that is contrary to the director's vision or whatever it is, that would be the producer's job to say, hey, this is actually what we signed up to do. This is what we're able to pay for because we've strategically calculated out a budget to execute that vision. And so sometimes I would say that can cause a little bit of a bumpy road on the indie side because people think that they can change things on the fly and that nothing matters, but everything matters. Number 3, so you have just money people, wrong. Not creatives, just logistics, wrong. Producers just hire crew and step back, also wrong. Producers manage chaos all day, every single day. That's literally all they do. To solve location issues, budget fires, schedule changes, cast problems, weather delays, union concerns, crew conflicts, equipment failures, insurance claims, whatever threatens the film. And so here's the thing. When a producer signs on to a project, they're also usually the person that is responsible for creating and maintaining the LLC of the film, not the director. Even if it's the director's work, the producer is the person who is on the LLC, who manages the legal, who does all of that stuff. And I feel like on a lower level, Ed, a lot of, I don't want to say lower, but on a more indie level, okay, where the budgets are less, I feel like people think that means that the producer is trying to take over the production. Would you get that vibe from what I just said? Being the head honcho, being the person on the LLC, all that stuff. It means that it's like the producer makes all the decisions and blah, 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 blah. What does the director do? Does that give that vibe?
I guess.
Yeah, totally wrong. Completely incorrect. That is not the reason why it's important. The reason, and Ed's right, it does give that vibe. Stupid people feel that way, though, and people that can't take one extra step forward and realize that when things go wrong, everything falls on the producer's shoulders. Everything. So it's extremely important to remember that not only does the producer have that responsibility in there, but when shit goes sideways, it's the producer's job to be able to fix those problems, which is why you have them as more of, I would say, like a connective tissue for a production. They're a central location, a nucleus kind of being, a main point of contact. It doesn't make producers better or more important than anyone else. But what it does is it says, okay, here's the main point of contact for funding, insurance, legal, crew hiring, crew documentation, scheduling, logistics, literally securing of locations and all of these different aspects of the film. And they're responsible for protecting, maintaining the film, creating and finalizing the film, and finalizing things and securing like distribution and stuff like that. Extremely important. And when things go wrong, everyone has a direction, a singular direction that they can point, and that's to the producer. So on the front end of things, when everything goes well, the director gets credit, the actors, the stars, they get credit. If everything goes wrong, it's always the producer's fault. It's never the director's fault. It's always the producer's fault. Let me just see here. Oh, number 4, the one that I wrote was, if the film is good, distribution will just happen. We made a great movie, and that's the producer's reward. That would be the misconception. The reality is that distribution is not, obviously, automatic. It's a business ecosystem. Producers have to package strategically and time festivals, negotiate sales agents, deliver quality control paperwork, chase deliverables, build marketing strategies. Many indie films die on the quality control issue side of things. Lack of planning, lack of hiring producers for a producer's role, and lack of wanting to give up some of that logistics control because they think that it's creative control. It has nothing to do with creative, actually, at all. It has to do with logistics and planning and making sure that things go smoothly. Without those things, and without, when people think, oh, well, do we really need these things? A producer is always thinking about, a good producer anyway, is always thinking, yes, we do need these things. They are important. It is life or death, and we do need to build them and plan them out immediately. Back in the day, I used to have a job selling windows and roofing and siding a long time ago. And I don't know if you know this, Edmund, or not, but when you're planning to build a house, you start with the roof of the house.
You do?
Yes. Because if you don't know where you're going to end up, how can you start with the foundation? You physically start the construction with the foundation, obviously. But you have to plan the roof before you start the foundation.
Okay.
You can't go willy-nilly, pour concrete, we're going to use these things, we're going to do that thing and this thing and everything else, and then when we get to the roof, we'll just deal with it then. It does not work that way. It doesn't work that way. You take a top-down view, 30,000 feet. What do you see from a satellite when you look at a piece of property, a house from a satellite? What do you see?
You see the roof.
Right. Do you see the concrete slab?
No.
Right. So you got to take that view when it comes to films as well. If you have an idea for a movie, or even if you have a script already, you have to look at how does this, as a producer, I'm saying, you have to look at how is this going to end up? What is the audience going to think? What are festivals going to think? What is marketing going to think? Or advertising? How are people going to respond to this stuff? What are theaters going to think? So that's a crucial step. Is this a boring episode, or am I crazy? Like, what are we?
No, you're on a roll right now.
Am I?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure. Because sometimes this stuff, like I like to come on here and scream and yell and talk about Chinese calendars and crap like that, but then this is actual good information. So if you're not subscribed and you haven't subscribed yet by the time I'm saying this sentence, I mean, you're not. What are you? You're nothing. You're nothing.
Yeah, subscribe, please.
You should subscribe. Don't say please. We don't have to beg. We don't beg. Don't subscribe. Be a failure your entire life. Call yourself a filmmaker. Never make anything. It's fine. I don't care. Please. Gives a shit. Don't subscribe. In fact, if you are subscribed, unsubscribe.
Please
My
clap.
God.
Please clap. That's all I thought about when I said that. The second that left my lips, I was thinking, Jeb Bush, please clap.
Yeah, please clap for
Please
that.
clap.
Please clap. Jeb Bush. What a joke. My God. Waste of human space.
You didn't vote for him?
Jeb Bush?
Yeah.
No. I
Yeah,
did
I
not
didn't
vote for Jeb Bush. I can confidently say I did not vote for Jeb Bush. Okay? Was never a Jeb. What do they call him? What do they? Sorry, we're getting off track here. It's a live stream, and I want to have some fun. Okay? If you're just watching the clips, that's fine.
His nickname?
But like, what were like? You know how like Ted Cruz had the cruise missiles? That was his.
I did not know that. No.
Yeah, yeah. They had cruise missiles. Those were people that. I think that's hilarious. Great name for a bunch of fans or people, voters, whatever it is. Yeah. Cruise missiles. That's great. All right, can I get through these top 5, and then we can talk about Jeb Bush and everything else? Please. Number 5. This is the big one. This is the one that creative people and filmmakers, man, this is the one that they always have an issue with. Number 5. Producers control everything. The misconception being that producers are these all-powerful, masters, whip crackers, whatever you want to call us. You got to understand something. Most producers spend their days making phone calls, asking and begging for favors, calling in every favor, I guess. I didn't use a different word, but that's fine. Every favor that they possibly can, negotiating contracts, negotiating deals. I'll get you on the next one. If we can do this way, can we do a 20% discount here? I've used you 1,000 times before. Do you think you can help out? All day, every single day. That is a creative position, in my opinion. And the reason I say that is because most people cannot do it. And that doesn't make them bad. This is the thing. Everyone thinks that there are these like roles that are like, if you're a DP, director of photography, if you're a, cinematographer, whatever, I don't know, there's like this air of arrogance. If you're a director, same thing. If you're a writer, same thing. And producers are no different. We also have, I don't know, Edmund, I wouldn't say that I'm arrogant.
No, not at all.
Right? I'd say I'm pretty humble.
Very humble.
Right? The most humble, almost.
Well, you're up there, yeah.
Right. Me, Jesus, I don't know, very many other.
I can't name anybody else.
Yeah, me either. I can't think of a single person more Mother Teresa, humble. Humble. She was a good one.
She was.
She was a saint. Did they saint her?
I don't know.
Saint? I don't either. Most producers spend their time negotiating and persuading, not commanding. They have to balance. This is the thing. Producers have to balance on a daily basis the director's vision, the writer's intent, investor expectations, market realities, cast availability, union rules, weather, budget constraints, etc., 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 etc. Producers don't own the process. They rarely get the creative or financial outcome that they want without constant compromise. If everything went the way that I wanted it to go the first time, oh my God, we would live in a much better world. Much better world. Unfortunately, you people don't listen. You don't listen. You want control. You want things done your way. And so I have to take a step back, hang my head, and say, okay, if that's the way you want to do things. I got a bonus for you. Here's a misconception. Bonus one. The meta misconception, if you will. Anyone can produce. Anyone can sit around and talk to people and call in favors. Again, real producing, real filmmaking and producing, and I mean people that don't want to just do it for fun. I'm talking about the whole point of this show, if you're new here and you're wondering what the hell this fat bearded man behind the counter is talking about, I am trying to give everyone in my area, in New England, I am doing my best to give everyone a real look at what filmmaking as a career looks like. Why, if you take these things seriously, and can we get back to taking things seriously? I understand that people enjoy doing this stuff, and they think that taking things seriously means you remove the fun or you remove the creative out of it. No, taking things seriously means people will take your film seriously. So I'm trying to do everything in my power to give everyone all of the tools so that we can start actually honing a craft and building out a realistic community that not only just does stuff for fun, which is okay too, but we should be we have enough talent, equipment, enough people in Boston with money. We should be able to make films, make money with those films, and continue moving forward as creatives. So I'm not downing anyone. I'm not saying anything bad about anyone. But to say that anybody can produce is like saying anyone can be a DP. I cannot. You do not want me behind the camera. I can tell you when it's wrong. I can suggest doing something else. But you don't want me deciding on the lighting. You want me being like, yeah, let's call Edmund. Let's see what's going on there. Let's call Ben Heald. Let's see someone with either some experience or talent who's able to execute the vision properly in order to get the look across. That's the job. And then begging and pleading and saying, we'll do everything we can. Please come help us save the film. That's my job. That's my job. And the reason it's my job is because when I call people, they usually go, all right, Nick, yeah, I'll come through for you on this one. Blah, 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 blah. That's why. That's why I have this job. The reason that the DP has the DP's job is not because he's such a good producer. It's because when he sits behind a camera, he does everything the right way. And people go, ooh, that looks beautiful. This is the role of a DP. But I'm a producer, so I'm talking about producers. Let me see. I made a whole bunch of different notes here. So what does an indie film producer do? What does any film producer do, for that matter? Oh my God, I have so many notes. It's like phases of things. There's phase 3, phase 6, phase 7. Should I go through all this stuff? Should I keep it light? What should I do? Can you talk to me? Can you ask me questions? I know you don't have my notes in front of you, but can you give me an idea of what you're thinking?
That's very informative. If you could jog.
I know, but it's not very fun. It's not fun. I need fun, Edmund. I need fun and excitement. I need something. Can you say something that'll either upset me, aggravate me? Can someone say something in the chat?
Let's go to the chat.
Oh, God. You don't even have it pulled up. And why is no one ready? My coffee delayed the whole show, and you had all this time. What do I hear, by the way? I'm in the other room. I'm making a cup of Joe. Cup of Joe for the show. Okay? What do I hear from inside the studio? TikTok reels, scrolling. We don't have the chat pulled up. We don't have all of your kind words ready to respond to. Producer Ed, who, listen, I'm not going to give you too much crap tonight because I know you're coming off of a little sickness.
Yeah.
And I'd rather you didn't cough on me. So I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. But, I don't know. What do you think? Show over? That's it? Good night? Have a good one?
No, I think we should keep going through plowing through those notes.
Oh, my God.
Also, for the record, I was not on TikTok. I don't TikTok.
Do you talk tick?
Sometimes.
Okay. These are all. So I have a crazy list here. I have a crazy list of I tried to write down as many things as a producer will handle. And here's the thing. If you call a producer, myself, anybody who's a producer, and you ask them to do just one of these checkbox items, not the producer's job. You're hiring them to be, let's say you need a location for a film. And so you call a producer and say, I need a location for a film. They can help, but they're helping in the capacity of a location manager, not the role of a producer. If you call a producer for a film, you have a script. Here, this is a list, a full list of what you will get from me regarding your film, and also why it costs money to have me on your set. Read the script and evaluate viability. This is phase 1, initial development and rights. Rights are very important. We should do a whole episode on rights. I probably could do a whole episode on who owns the film and at what point and why and when and how and all this other stuff. Okay, phase 1, initial development and rights. Reads the script and evaluate viability. Meet writer for vision alignment if you're not involved from the idea phase. Confirm script ownership and chain of title. Who owns the IP? Who has already done the copywriting of the script? Who owns the story? Where are we at in that process? Because then you're going to have a script option or purchase agreement. You're going to have a writer contract. And if there's a separate writer from the director, you'll have to have a separate writer agreement. Register copyright if needed, like I just said. Assess audience and comparables. Evaluate the market demand and the genre fit. So it's like saying, we're going to make the greatest Christmas movie ever, and it's going to come out April 1st. Probably not the best idea. Edmund, would you agree?
I'd agree. Maybe like late November.
Maybe Christmas.
Yeah, maybe.
Right? Because everything's closed except the movie theaters. You don't want to go to the movies. Phase 2, strategy, packaging, and pre-financing. Define the project format, distribution strategy and marketing, identify target festivals, create value proposition for investors, attach a director if not the writer, contact agencies for talent interest, attach key creatives, build the pitch deck and the lookbook. But see, this is the thing, is they'll call, like sometimes directors will call me and they're ready to go. They want to hire me as a producer. They already have the lookbook. They already have the pitch deck. They already have the treatment. They already have all these things ready to go. And it's like, okay. So it's like handcuffing or handicapping a producer to show up and say, execute this vision. It's the producer's job to create those things to execute the vision. So I feel like there is a little bit of another misconception, is that the producer is just kind of like the production bitch. No?
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Sure.
Like misconception is that people will call a producer and they'll just handle the admin shit while we make a film.
Yeah, I can see that happening. Yeah.
Yeah. Wrong. At least not this producer. And no one who lives in LA either is going to want to produce a film and act that way.
Will the producer like set them straight, or will they just kind of like?
Well, no, but if you're interviewing producers this is great. Thank you for asking. If a producer is, if you're interviewing producers, if you're a person with a script or whatever it is, and you're talking to producers and you want to hire one for your production, right? And none of them want to work with you, none of them, or some of them do, and then it fizzles out for whatever reason, you're the problem. You are the problem.
That makes sense, yeah.
You are doing something wrong. Producers like movies, and producers like getting movies made because that is literally their job, and it's how they make money, and it's how they make a living. So if producers are like, this ain't right for me, I'm good, thanks so much, you're doing something wrong. And you need to humble yourself down, and you need to say, okay, well, what am I doing wrong? What do you think I'm doing wrong? And there has to be a little bit of an element of trust. Producing is a you definitely need to have a little bit of an element of trust there. But it's a huge job. Okay, do you have any questions? Any questions at all? I'll
Not
take
right
them.
now.
No, not from them, from you.
Yeah, no, not right now.
Okay. Festivals, all this other crap, director's statement, blah, 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 PR, financial waterfall. This is the other thing, too. When you're dealing with an investor of any kind, it's the producer's job to figure out how that investor is going to be paid back, how that money is going to be recouped. That's huge. That's huge, because if you want money for your film, it's one thing to say, I have a really pretty pitch deck, but it's another thing to say, or to be able to answer the question, that's fine that you're looking for $100,000, that's fine that you're looking for $50,000. How am I supposed to get that money back? What does that look like for me? Why am I investing money in this film, Mr. Producer? And someone like me is going to have to answer and say, I'm glad you asked. I've spent months preparing this, marketing plan or whatever it is for this film, and here's why this film works. That's the answer you want to hear. Not, well, if we get into Sundance, there will probably be somebody there from like HBO who likes scary movies, and they'll probably buy it. That's the worst That's not a producer. I don't even know what the hell that is. That would be horrible. And it doesn't mean that the producer has to come up with all of the marketing. But if they're not the ones doing the marketing or handling the marketing, they're managing the marketing team, and they're handling and making those decisions on who's hired for marketing, who's not involved with marketing, because their ass is on the line when shit goes wrong and the movie makes no money and the investors can't get paid back. And then they go, well, it was the marketing. Marketing is going to go, that's our boss, the producer guy. That's how that goes. That's the guy who told us to do the marketing that way. That's who signed off on it, was the producer. So you see what I'm saying? So it's like, if you don't want to be in that position, don't accept a producer role. Don't accept a producer role. I would take an associate producer role before a producer role if I wasn't ready to accept 100% of that responsibility, because it really is a big deal. Okay. Strategy, packaging, financing, build a pitch deck lookbook, attach the key creatives, prepare financial waterfall. Oh my God, such boring crap. Form the production entity, LLC, open production bank accounts, hire attorney and legal support, draft the investor paperwork, research incentives, contact film commissions for incentives. All of these different things are things that a producer does. Now, obviously, you're not going to do this on a 48-hour film, okay? I'm not ridiculous. But the bigger the film, the more important all of these roles are. Out of, I would say, maybe 15 check boxes in each one of these sections, on a smaller film you do 5, and on a bigger film you do all of them. And it is super important. And if any of these things fall through the cracks, the film is in jeopardy of doing well. The reason that you want films to do well, and the reason it's very important for films to do well, is because the money you make with the first film goes into making the second film. That's the part that nobody gets. We should talk about crowdfunding and how much of a complete waste of time and energy it is to do crowdfunding for a film. Yes, I know it's a big deal, but if you crowdfund properly, you should be only crowdfunding for your virgin production. For your very first film, that's where you do crowdfunding, and you beg and plead and you ask everybody for favors. If you're making 2 films a year, who is going to be donating? It's November. It's time to donate to Edmund's film. Here we go. He's got another one he's making. Well, what did he do with the last one? I didn't even get invited to the premiere. Nothing. He did nothing with it. I get no return on investment. I think I got a T-shirt with the film's name on it. Maybe. Oh, no, that was the next tier up. I got nothing. I got no T-shirt. Did you get a poster? Nothing. I got nothing.
You got a special thanks in the credits.
I got a special thanks in the credits. And I only know that because when I went to the premiere of the film that I had to pay it for a ticket, I saw my name as a special thanks in the credits. You see where I'm going with this? When it comes to asking. And then on top of that, I feel like because filmmakers are kind of isolated a little bit, it's very incestuous, the community. They filmmakers hang out with filmmakers, and they, because we work a lot or whatever, and all this stuff. So now you're just asking, it's like me asking you to donate to my film. Let's say you give me $1,000, and then I go, okay, well, we need a gaffer too. Can you come in? What's your rate? And you go, well, I'll charge you $1,000. I mean, it's all we're doing is passing money around back and forth to each other, which is why it's not taken as seriously as it should. What we need to do is take things seriously. We need to raise money for a good production. We need to have a good plan, a good strategy, including distribution and how we can recoup that money. Because I guarantee you a lot of people would feel way better if you didn't ask for money on the front end and you said, please buy a ticket to the movie that I made. Would you agree, Ed, or is that a crazy statement?
Yeah, I'd agree.
Do you think you'd get more people to buy a ticket to a movie that's finished or to donate to your 6th movie that they haven't even seen the first 5?
Yeah, definitely buy a ticket.
Right? Exactly. So then it's a crazy concept. Wild out there, I know. You use the money from the ticket sales to make your next film. And you go, well, I mean, I can't imagine that many people buying tickets to go see my movie. Doesn't that say something about the quality of your films? More so than the people buying the tickets? Am I wrong? Am I wrong? If you don't even believe in your film enough that people would buy tickets to see it, who has the problem here? Because it ain't. I never blame the audience. I never, ever, 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 ever blame the audience, and I never will because it's not their fault. because people choose what they want to watch and they choose what they like, but only based on what's available. You can't give something a negative review if it never gets shown to anybody. You got something for me, Edmund? What's up?
Well, how much is it to rent like a theater, like a single theater?
Do you have a phone?
I have a phone.
Do you have a computer?
I have it right in front of me.
Right. Do you have a thing called Google?
I believe it's there. Yeah.
Right. And nowadays you have things like ChatGPT. You have things like Grok. You have OpenAI. You've got all these different things. What? Okay, let me ask you this before we answer your question. What is the purpose of asking the question?
Well, the purpose is if you're going to get all your money, your income from ticket sales, you have to pay for the space to show it. So that's going to
I don't disagree.
But like, is it 200? Is it 800? How much is it for like a medium-sized theater?
Well, we're going to find out because it depends on whether or not it's independently owned or if there is a chain theater type thing, because you might have to go through a corporate route as opposed to going through a individual, like a single person to call. You know what I mean?
So apparently this is AI, Google AI overview. The Capitol Theater, which is in Arlington, Mass.
Oh, cool.
Small rooms.
And by the way, this is BS AI. We would have to call them to confirm. We're not holding anything to these people. We're not going to use names of theaters ever again. Go ahead.
Smaller rooms are about $50 an hour.
Right, for a singular event. Not to run a movie for multiple days on end.
The Town Hall Auditorium has private rates starting at $500 an hour. The Regent Theater.
So we're talking about individual places for singular events like a premiere.
Yeah.
Right? This is why a lot of people will go through and do like a road show with their movie. They'll go up to, independently owned theaters. They'll advertise for a weekend and then they drive down. Let's say you go from Maine to Massachusetts, and the cast and maybe the director, maybe a few key members, they'll go through and they say, "Welcome to the theater. Thank you for this event. You're going to come in, you're going to watch this movie here. It's only available this weekend." Okay. And you do a couple of shows. My point is, that's a lot easier to make money doing stuff like that. Plus, it's fun. Who wouldn't want to go on a road trip up to Maine? You hit every theater from Maine to Rhode Island.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Would that not be sick?
Yeah.
That's fun. It's also not that far. It's not that crazy of a thing to do.
Yeah.
When was the last time you were hired on a production that you knew afterward you were going to theaters everywhere else, blah, 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 blah? That was the plan. The plan for the film was for it to be shown in theaters. Ready? When was the last time you were hired for a production where they were excited about that being the plan? By the way, before you answer, every movie's plan is to be in theaters, hypothetically. That's the idea behind fucking movies. They're supposed to be shown in theaters, right? We all say that. We all think that. Netflix doesn't really feel that way, and whatever. I don't want to get ahead of myself here, all right? I'm just saying they seem to think that theaters are a little outdated, but theaters are fun. They used to be fun. Anyway, how many productions, Edmund, have you been hired on where the director was walking around saying, "Well, we're going to do a road trip with this afterward, and we're going to have lots of fans from Maine to Rhode Island or whatever it is, and we're all going to go, maybe even down to Florida. We're going to go all over every independently owned theater. We're going to show this movie there, and we're going to advertise with posters on." I'm not going to give away all the trade secrets. Don't even get me started. You stick around, you subscribe, you pay attention, maybe you'll learn something. How many productions have you been hired on where you knew for a fact that the film was going to a theater near you after production was over?
0.
How sad is that to say?
Yeah.
How sad is that to admit? All of the films of every level and size that you've ever been hired for, how many films have you been hired on? Of any size, I don't care.
Films?
Films, short film, movies, anything. How many things have you worked on that you knew it was going to theaters afterward? I feel like you've worked on, like you've worked on some like decent films in Rhode Island I've seen. You know what I mean? By decent, I mean higher budget. I don't want to talk about everything. You know what I mean? I don't want to be too specific. There is definitely things that you've worked on in some capacity that have been in a theater at some point. Shown on a big screen in a theater at some point.
Yeah.
Right. So with that being said, on indie film level though, How many films have you been hired on to work on? Edmund's a great gaffer. We're not going to name any names or talk down about anybody, and you should hire him because he is very talented.
Thank you.
No, I appreciate you being here, and I wouldn't have, if you can't tell already, I'm the world's biggest pain in the ass. So if Edmund wasn't decent at what he did, he wouldn't be here. Now, how many films have you been hired on throughout your career since you started doing filmmaking? Give me a round number, Edmund. A couple dozen. So like 25, right? 24, 25.
Not many.
Okay. You've been hired for 25 movies. None of them had the we're going to go to theaters after. 25 movies, and none of them have said, we're going to do a road show. We're going to go around. We're going to advertise. We're going to sell tickets. People are going to come in and watch the movie. They're going to have a little chuckle, and they're going to leave. None of them have ever had any plan for recouping the investment that they spent the funds on the movie to make the movie.
No, I think one's on.
It's not your fault. I'm just saying. Is it 0?
I think it's 0, yeah.
How crazy is that?
Crazy.
How many people, not that they're bad, how many people that are filmmakers that you know that have made films have hit you up or you've seen a post asking for your money to donate to their film?
Quite a bit.
All over the place.
Yeah.
All over the place. Is that not the wildest concept when you think about it? We're going to ask other artists to pay for films that we want to make instead of raising money through other means, whether it's through product placement, advertising, because we're too lazy and scared to call companies and say, hey, I have this. You call a local car dealership and say, hey, I'd love to use one of your cars in my film. Would you like to sponsor the thing and have your car be in it? Because how do people not get this?
Well, they need a producer.
I know.
Like I haven't thought about half the things you said right now until you said them, and I'm like, well, you're essential for the production.
Well, I don't know if I'm necessarily essential for the production, but I will say that producers are essential for this reason. You need someone who's going to think creatively and outside the box when it comes to doing things like raising funds, getting people behind the stuff, and someone who has a little bit of stake in the game makes sense. I don't know. Is there anything I've said that you like? What about this? What about that? Because I don't know where to go with it necessarily because I do this shit all the time. So I don't know what people know and what they don't know. And since we have 2 viewers,
yeah. So
you're one of them.
When you finish the film, you can go on a road trip and go to different independent theaters and show the film.
See, you're already going the wrong direction with it, and I don't mean that in a mean way. I'm sure everybody else.
I was going to say something after that.
Okay, go ahead.
And then do you find distribution to then?
That is distribution.
Yeah, but if you're
it's self-distribution.
Yeah.
And the point is that has to be planned. When we talked about the roof and the foundation,
yeah,
that's the roof. That's the finished thing. So that should have been the plan to begin with. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like something that you say, well, here we have this idea for a film. What are you thinking about distribution? Well, geez, I don't even know who we're going to have as the cast. I don't care. What are you thinking about distribution? What are you thinking about recouping the investment? What are you thinking about paying people back to invest in the film? Do they have ownership percentages, or are they a non-equity investor? Are they going to get like you're doing a loan with them? And you're like, no, well, we're just going to crowdfund and we're going to ask people for money. Why are they going to give you money? Have you asked for money before? Have they given money already? And if they've given money already and you never gave them anything back for it, why would they give you money again? And if they do give you money a second time, God forbid you make a third film, because no one's going to, you know what I'm saying? Like, people dry up, and if they don't see, people don't just pay for things to get nothing out of it. And it's one thing to support people on like a single time basis, but like, it's not people's job to pay for your hobbies. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what I mean is, if your plan is to go do a road show or to go from theater to theater, you need to plan that early on. Who's going with you? Is the star of the show going with you? Is the producer going? Is the director going? Is the writer going? Are those the same people? Are you bringing multiple cast members with you? Are they going to be contractually obligated to go? So is that going to be in their paperwork? Is it a model release form that says we're allowed to use your image for anything and here's $100? Or does it say, part of you getting this role means that you're going to post 3 times on social media. You're going to show up to festivals. You're going to sit there on a panel with a big fat smile on your face, and you're going to say it's the best damn thing you've ever worked on. Is that in the fine print or not? Producer's job. You see what I'm saying? Negotiating those contracts. Oh, you're an actor and you're, whatever, you do really well for yourself, and you even had a walk-on role in a CBS TV show, and you're the bee's knees, you're the cat's pajamas. Great. That means you're going to be at festivals, right? Well, I don't know if I have time for that. Listen. If it's in the contract, they don't have a choice. That's it. They don't have a choice. Put it in the contract. Make it known up front. Here's what we're doing. Every time I mention things to newer directors, newer filmmakers, people that haven't done this stuff before, when I mention post-production or even post-production, distribution, things like that, I always get the same line. I get the same sort. Well, we can cross that bridge when we come to it. Let me tell you, buddy. That's the first bridge. That's the first bridge. Imagine in a land, there's a lake. In the middle of the lake is an island, and there is one bridge to get onto the island. On the island, that's movie-making island. It's separate from the world. The world is around. The world is around the lake. But all of the cast members and production people go across this bridge, the distribution bridge, to go on to movie-making island. And then they come back over the same bridge, the distribution bridge, to come back to the real world. What I'm trying to explain to you is if you don't think about distribution first, how are you supposed to get to movie-making island? There's only one way on the island, distribution bridge. I should draw this up. It should be a T-shirt. This would be a great T-shirt. Big land, lake, movie-making island. I like that. Maybe, I can't say that. that one would have been bad later. I was going to say, nope, not going to say that. Not going to say that. I think it's a live show. Not going to say that one.
Put that on the Patreon episode.
Yep, that'll be a non-live Patreon episode. Maybe I'll just make the clip itself about the island. See why that could have been bad?
I do, yeah. I do
right.
now.
I'm very happy. I'm very proud of myself just now for censoring myself because I was going to make a horrible joke. We only went through phase 2. Phase 3 is fundraising and pre-greenlight. Then you have phase 4. So this is the thing. If you saw this screen, you'd be like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. Who would want to do this job? I would rather hang myself. Well, I shouldn't say that either. Oh, YouTube Live is going to kill me. I would rather do unkind things to myself physically than be a producer. And most people do feel that way. Personally, I love what I do. I think it's fantastic. I love the negotiating. I love the phone calls. I love the blast from the past when you need somebody and they come through for you, and that great feeling of being able to pull off. And, it all comes down to the audience reaction to a film in the end when they love it. And you think, wow, all of those sleepless nights and all of that paperwork and all of the DocuSign, it was all worth it. It was all worth it because everybody's laughing or everybody's crying or whatever the emotion is that the film is trying to invoke. It really does make it all worth it. And you look over at the director and he's excited because everybody's reacting the way they want him to, and you know that you've done your job the right way. That's what makes it worth it. It's not the accolades. It's not the awards. It's about doing it, getting it done right, and everybody's happy in the end. Even if throughout the process they're not always happy, because that really doesn't matter to anybody. I feel like my chair is super low.
Yeah, you look a little short right now.
No, I feel like it's super low. There we go. Oh, ho, ho. All right, start over. Go ahead. Welcome to Nick Imagine. Now that I'm so much taller.
We can cut it out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's not live or anything. Who cares? All right. So, yeah, 7 phases. Phase 4 is pre-production. Here's what a producer would handle. Hiring, and this is usually when I get the phone call. People skip the first 3, which is skipping, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 2, 3, 4, 5, 20. Okay. Yeah, let's call it 50 steps, 50 check boxes are skipped by the time I usually get a phone call, which is phase 4, pre-production. I know this stuff is boring. Pay attention. I'm trying to make it as interesting as humanly possible. During the pre-production phase, which is after you secure financing and before production, before principal photography, a producer's role includes hiring line producers and UPMs, casting directors, accountants, and payroll services, department heads, department heads, detailed shooting schedule, creating a day out of days for the cast, meaning like when the cast will be there, how many days. If you have a 30-day shoot and you have a cast member who's just a day player versus a main character who's going to be there for all 30 or 28 of the 30, etc. Contingency allocation, which is usually 10%. So if you have $300,000 for a movie, or let's say $100,000, keep the math easy, we'll keep everything at $100,000. If you have $100,000 for a film, $10,000 needs to sit separately, which means you really need to make the movie for $90K, because someone somewhere is going to break something. Something's going to go wrong. It's going to cost $500, $2,000, $3,000, and you need to have a 10% contingency. A what if? What if something goes wrong? So if you're raising, let's go crazy and say that you're raising $1,000 for a film. $100 of that $1,000 should be set aside in case something goes wrong, because isn't it like one of the laws of physics? Anything that can go wrong will. That's not a physics thing. It's a law. It's a something. Yes. I don't like to break the law. I obey the law. You know? Contingency, allocation, union agreements if it's that big of a production and you need to use union agreements, talent agreements, department head agreements, music rights for on-set use, production insurance, securing locations, which is a step, but it's not the only step. And it's, permits. Oh my God. Arranging travel and lodging, securing equipment and stage rentals, securing vehicles, confirming catering and craft service. All of this is what a producer does. All of this is what a producer does. Now, if you've done one of these tasks, it doesn't make you a producer. It means that you've done the job of hiring one of these people for a production. Okay. Supervising shot lists, storyboards, previs, if they have that, if they're going to do that. Holding and securing and handling logistics around tech scouts, walkthroughs, blocking, any sort of safety meetings that are done in pre-production, anything of like, the DP wants to take the gaffer through the location to see if there's enough room to get a dolly track through this thing because the building was built in 1704. You don't do that on the day, dummy. And a good producer is going to schedule that a month in advance. They're going to call the location that they've built the relationship with and go, "Hey, Susan, Nick Williams, how are you? Hey, would you mind this camera person, this director, because you got to use layman terms with location. They don't know what the hell. You know what I mean? When you say camera person, they know what you're talking about. You say DP, they go, "Excuse me, what'd you say to me?" So you gotta make sure. Also, super important thing that like I feel like people have a grasp on, but some people don't, and that's checking for like allergies for craft services and stuff like that. You got to make sure. I mean, all of these nitpicky bullshit things are so incredibly important. And they all, if they go wrong, if someone dies of an allergic reaction on your film set, it is 1,000,000,000,000% your producer's fault. 100% of the time, every single time, on every single film, it is your producer's fault. That's where you point the finger. That's why it's important to hire a producer. And that's why it's important to not take on the title of a producer if you aren't a producer. Edmund.
What if somebody does something silly on set and gets hurt? Is that still the producer if someone acts like an idiot?
Well, it depends. You have to be more specific. So there is obviously set insurance and production insurance and stuff like that. It's a great way to get fired by a producer. That's for sure. That's a great way to get fired. If you're acting like a complete dick, that's a great way to get fired. To have as an uncomfortable, quick Very quick conversation. Thanks so much for your time. We'll see you on the next one, but probably not. Make sense?
Makes sense.
Yep. Can you give an example of doing something silly, like what you would mean by that?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe some grip is carrying some sandbags and they don't see the dolly track, but that's kind of not really acting like an idiot. Just not really being aware of your surroundings. I don't know. Somebody has like a prop knife. And it
I don't know, dude. It's funny you say that because I've been on some really like for free sets, like some really low budget sets. And even on those sets, grips, I got to say, grips are usually the most professional people out of anyone on a film set. That's not knocking anyone that I know or anyone in any other positions, but I got to give it to the grips. They know their shit. Realistically, grips kind of just want you to stay the hell out of their way. Let them do their thing. I would say camera team is very similar. Same with sound. You know, everybody just kind of wants to be able to do their job. And then you get into like the head honcho creatives. It's a conversation for another time. But professional people that are like grips, that are professional, that have done it before, that know what they're doing, that aren't on set to tell other people how to do things, you know what I mean? Or to talk shop about the big film that they were on previously. That's the worst too. I hate that. When you're on an indie film set, $100,000 set, $200,000 set, $10,000 set, really doesn't matter. And everyone on set is talking about the better other productions that they've been on. Fired, like Cat in the Hat. Fired, bro. I hate that. You're here to do a job. If you don't want to be invested in the film, if you don't want to be a part of this production, that's okay. Go start a podcast. Talk about all the big films you've been on. Talk about all the big films you've moved sandbags on. That'll be great. That'll be good for that stuff. There's literally no reason for you to be on my set. If you're going to be on my set talking about other productions that you've been on, it means nothing. It means literally nothing because we're not on those productions. We're on this one. Does that make sense, or am I crazy to say that?
That makes sense.
Good. A lot of people need to hear that shit. Whew. Okay, production, daily oversight of shoot operations, making sure people aren't acting like idiots or, talking shop. Approve call sheets, review daily production reports, track schedule, review dailies, track petty cash and expenses, handle personal and operations issues if there's infighting, if the director and the gaffer, who should never really even be talking to each other, are fighting about something, about a light or whatever it is, producers should step in. We do act a little bit like mediators on set, trying to handle it. And there's a couple of different types of mediation from a producer that you should, at least with me. But go ahead, call Jerry Bruckheimer and see if he's any different, because I guarantee you he's not. But this stuff doesn't happen on his sets. These are indie problems, okay? These are the types of things that I'm talking about. So having an issue on a film set between two people can result in a producer acting a couple of different ways. One, you come in and you go, gentleman, or lady and gentleman, or lady and lady, or boy and boy, or girl and girl, or they and they, okay? How do we shut the fuck up and make a movie? How do we put all your bullshit aside, leave it at home, and make a movie? That's option one. Option two is, and usually it's part B. So that's step A is, hey, your problems mean nothing, and this movie isn't going to get made if you don't shut your mouth and get back to work. No good? Thank you for showing up. Please don't show up tomorrow. That's literally it. That's how it goes. One of two ways. Either we all work together and we execute this movie and you realize that you're a gaffer or you're a grip and you're not the director. And it may not be the coolest thing to you. It may not be the movie you want to make. Thankfully, we live in a free country. This is the United States. It's been around for 250 years. This year, it's a beautiful country, the best country, the greatest country that's ever existed. Okay? United States of America. You don't believe me? Just ask Venezuela. I tried so hard. I couldn't do it. That is so bad. That is so bad to say. Greatest country that's ever existed, ever. Okay? Treat everybody nice. That's so crazy. I'm not trying to get political here, but is it not crazy, the Venezuela thing? They were like, that's our oil. Venezuela was like, no, it's our oil. What are you talking about? What did you mean? It's our oil. We were like, no. Excuse me. Excuse me, Maduro. Hey, Maduro, want to come over for a slumber party? Hey, Maduro, why don't you come visit the White House, Maduro? He was like, no, I don't want to go. And we're like, no. You're coming with us, Maduro. And by the way, we're taking that oil. Bring that oil with you, too. Crazy. Absolutely insane. What are you going to do? Oh, man. But it's a free country. So if you're a grip or a gaffer or a DP out there and you just totally disagree with everything that's going on, you have every right to go home and sit at your computer and write a better story and raise funds and put everything together yourself and make your own movie. But while you're here on this current set, we are here to execute the vision that we have all agreed to execute. That's the point. The sooner we get it done, the sooner people get to go home, the sooner you get a check, and the sooner we can move on to the next production. And I don't want to make it sound so negative. Oh, we can move on to the next production. But it's true. This is the thing. We're all artists. We all have creative takes and creative ways of doing things. But the reality of the situation is the film is made by all of us working together, not agreeing to do all these things. Then you get on set and someone says, excuse me, actually, I think it'd be better. Nobody gives a fuck what you think, that it'd be better. Move on, save it for your own production. That doesn't mean that you're not allowed to have your vision or your thoughts or ideas. You're allowed to have them on your production. When you create them, call me. I'll produce your film. And I'd love in the first meeting for you to say, remember we did that film? I didn't like the way that they did this or that or whatever it is. And I'd say, oh, really? What would you like to do instead? That's when your opinion matters. Not on the set of somebody else's film that we're trying to make. You go, excuse me, can we actually, it should be daytime right now. Shh. Do your job. Move the sandbag. Do what you got to do. I say that, but you know what? Grips are usually really good. They don't complain. Maybe they complain to each other, but not to the producer, not to the director. They mumble as they work. Right?
Yeah.
Especially an old grip, old grip. Somebody who's like 50, 60, who, by the way, when you ask, can I compliment somebody? There's a gaffer that I love, that I work with a lot. I used to work with a lot. I haven't worked with them in a while, but I would love to. His name's Walter Stone. You ever hear of Walter Stone?
I have, yeah.
Amazing guy. I was directing an indie TV pilot. I was directing it, producing it. We were so crunched for time. This is a great gaffer, in my opinion, okay? I said everything was bright, noontime, high noon daylight. We were using the sun and a couple of fill in the kitchen, things like that. We were so crunched for time, and we had to come in, and it had to look at like 1 o'clock. This is like noon. At 1 o'clock after lunch, we had to make it look like it was nighttime. By 12:30, we had moonlight coming through the window. The entire sky was black. Not really, but like on set, you would think it was. We had moonlight, light bulbs replaced, orange glow, bounces in position, things that French flags on the... Everything was done. Walter Stone's amazing. And you know what all he had to say was, I'd like it to look like it's like 8 o'clock at night. He went, okay, done. I mean, it was done. It was done. And there were minor tweaks that had to be made, but I didn't have to do anything crazy. It was nothing wild or out there because we had pre-planned, and when it was time to execute, and this is a guy by himself. I think we had like 2 or 3 PAs there that were helping and a couple of grips maybe, but nothing crazy. And he was just, he handled his shit. He always did. I don't know. Walter's a great guy. I love you, Walt, and I would love to work with you and continue working with you on many more things. Post-production. See, everyone thinks, producer, it's just there on set, and then they're gone. Post-production stuff. We're getting to the end here, folks. Just hang with me, okay? I know it's a little bit of a longer episode, but the stuff's important. Also, if you have any questions, comments, if you think I've said something completely ass backwards, please leave a comment down below. I appreciate you. And again, like this video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much. Post-production, hire post-production supervisor, hire the editor and assistant editor, hire the composer, hire a sound team. Now, this doesn't mean that we decide who these people are, but when the director says, you know, I'd really love for Hans Zimmer to compose this film, maybe the director could reach out. It's the producer's role. It is a producer's job to negotiate that contract, to step in and say, here's what we have. And again, these things should really be planned pre-production, even development stage. Who's going to compose the film, where these things are going to end up. Everybody wants to get on set. Being on set is the fun part of everything, but it's a train wreck, a 7,000 car pileup in post-production when you haven't talked about these things early enough in the pre-production process. So by the time you get to post-production, the producer is hired a post-production supervisor, hired an editor, assistant editor, hired a composer and the sound team for dialogue, Foley, mix, etc., hired a colorist, hire a VFX vendors if there are any, if you need them, create post-production schedule and the milestones, and then also track all of that, review an assembly cut, review any rough cuts, review a fine cut, review a picture lock, sign off on a picture lock with the director, conduct test screenings if you have a really big production and if you're doing marketing stuff, you know, to get an initial reaction, score and composition recording, Foley and ADR, final sound design and mix, color grade, blah, blah, blah. Literally signing off on everything. Signing off and obtaining errors and omission insurance, E&O, creating final masters and supervising the final masters and making sure that those things get made, ProRes, DCP for festivals, how are those going to be distributed, who has copies of those things. All of those things really, really matter. You have generating captions and subtitles, needing a vendor for those, or is your editor going to do it? Are they going to charge more? Is that included in the initial quote? All of those things matter, and no one thinks about any of these things. They only think about going on set. It's so, so crucially important. Is the editor going to cut the trailer, or are you hiring a trailer editor to cut your trailer for you once the thing's edited? These things matter. Who is editing the film matters. This is me personally. If the director wants and wishes to cut their own film, I'm usually okay with it. Because at the end of the day, it's the director telling the story. I'm going to get some flack for this, man, because I know 2 or 3 people that love doing this. Usually, 9 times out of 10, if the director of photography wants to cut the film, usually 9 times out of 10, if the DP wants to edit the film, I say, let me check with a couple of editors and see what we can get. You have a big job. You have a pretty big job. Let's see if there's an editor who wants to cut the film. Now, it's not because directors of photography don't know how to cut things. That's not where I'm going with this. It's not for lack of talent. It's not. The reason I don't like when a director of photography cuts the film is because the director of photography usually has a big hand, one would assume, in shooting the film and deciding on a lot of the shots for the film. And when things take a long time, even if they're not necessary for the story, but we spent all day or 2 or 3 days coming up with this one shot and we spent all this time on. Just because you spend a lot of time on something or getting this angle of coverage doesn't mean you need to include it in the final cut. I'm glad that we have it. It's good to have. But our job is to tell a story here. And the director's job is to communicate the story the best that they possibly can. So when a DP cares about the story and the script, don't get me wrong, but they also care about all the work that they put in into getting certain shots, it can be kind of annoying to deal with that in the editing room, if that makes sense. Not everybody. Definitely some. Definitely quite a few. Edmund?
Yeah, they hold a big bias because they were there and they, maybe a shot they recreated or.
You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, of course.
Something takes a long time and they go, oh, but that's so cool. Oh, I love the way that looks, though. Good for you. Good for you. Add it to the reel. Maybe. But they can't add it to the reel if it doesn't end up in the final cut. Can't add it to the reel if it doesn't end up in the final cut. So they make sure that it ends up in the final cut so that they can add it to the reel. See how that's a kind of a selfish thing? See, that's kind of more about them and not about telling the story or making a good movie. Editors are good at seeing things that people don't always see, reading the script, putting things together. That's how I started, was editing. It wasn't from shooting. It was from editing. My dad would leave and go film stuff, and he'd come home and throw a little mini DV tape at me, and he would say, put this together for me. Hurry up before we have dinner. I want to check it. And if it's no good, no dinner.
I didn't know your dad's a DP.
Huh? No. My dad's in everything. My dad thinks that he's everything. That's for sure. He could. Well, I can't say that either. Don't want to get people upset. But my dad thinks that he can do no wrong. No wrong. Never done wrong in his life. It's very interesting. I don't know what that's like to never have done anything wrong in your life ever. If I wanted to know more about that, I'm sure I could ask my father. He's a fantastic human being who's never done anything wrong ever. Love you, Dad, if you happen to watch this. Okay. Sales, festival, distribution. Again, all very important things. I love it. See, this is the thing is like I feel like I'm just talking into the wind here. Just talking into the wind. Do we even have Dan tonight? We don't even have Dan. No one. Nothing.
You have Amblarda.
Yeah, great. Submit to festivals, attend festivals and markets, secure sales agents, all those things, super, super important. My point is a producer's job is not one checkbox. There are tons and tons of checkboxes. Now, if you're smart enough to watch this show, appreciate you, and I'm glad that you have a brain. Every Monday night, we come in, we talk about industry things that are ways to not only grow the New England film industry, but to expand upon it. And I wanted to kind of give a little bit of a taste into the everyday life of someone who does producing and deals with indie filmmakers literally on a daily basis, and what that entails. Because I feel like a lot of people think they can throw a producer credit around and they can understand that a producer does this and that and all these different things, kinda. But it's fine. There's one director. There's one director of photography. There's usually one star of the show. And then they're like, oh, we'll just give you producer credit. And we give you producer credit. That doesn't mean anything. And then people get hired for producing work. They don't even know what the hell they're getting hired to do. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Leave a comment down below if you think I'm crazy or if you think I'm right. I don't really care one way or the other. I'd still like to have your comment. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Appreciate you. Edmund, do you have anything else or any other questions for me before we go?
No, that's a great stream.
Thanks. Oh, yeah, we're a little over an hour. It's good. It flew right by. And we were late, so I'm glad we still made an hour anyway. Thanks so much. Mondays at 8. We will see you next week.